Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is day 225, Wednesday, October the 18th, 2017. First of all, my apologies for not getting last night's video uploaded until late in the evening, around I guess 9 or 10 o'clock. Normally my daily uploads occur right around 11 o'clock or noon. That's when they're normally up. But had some issues, but did get the video uploaded late in the evening, but I did get it uploaded on the Tuesday, so I did get it there. So welcome to today's video, Wednesday, day 225. Well, obviously the major breaking story today, and today we're going to have stories, of course, on this major breaking story regarding the FBI and the Russian bribery plot regarding Uranium 1. We're going to talk about that for the first probably third of the video. Then I have some more Las Vegas news and information, and then we have some general TowerGate information. So we hit a little bit of everything today. We only have 30 minutes, so let's get to it. Well, as most of you know, if you've read the Hill article, which was the original source of the article, John Solomon and his associate editor over there, as well as Sarah Carter at Circa News, both working this story together, I think. And I think you can find this story both at the Hill and on Circa News. And the headline, of course, today on the Hill story, which is the major breaking story that I imagine you all are hearing about or have heard about, is that the FBI uncovered Russian bribery plot before the Obama administration approved controversial nuclear deal with Russia. This is a major story. It has tentacles that lead everywhere. It'll take some time to unravel this, but what's amazing about this is not, you know, some sort of a leak or a breaking story or something like that. This is actually an entire investigation has already been done. There were actually individuals who were charged with crimes. There were some plea bargains, and the thing was swept under the rug. And a few people from this trucking company that was involved, some officials from there, and a handful of other people did face some charges, but I believe every one of them reached very generous plea deals, and they kept it all very, very quiet. But the deep state operators who were complicit in this plot, of course, were kept very much out of it. And that's probably why they made everything go away very quietly. But now this story has broken, and it's going to really revive this story, and we're now going to get to the other side of this story, which is the deep state players who we'll be talking about here in just a moment. But let's go ahead, for those of you who haven't heard some of the details of exactly what's going on here, let me go ahead and lay this out right from the Hill. Okay, before the Obama administration approved a controversial deal in 2010 giving Moscow control of a large swath of American uranium, the FBI had gathered substantial evidence that Russian nuclear industry officials were engaged in bribery, kickbacks, extortion, and money laundering designed to grow Vladimir Putin's atomic energy business inside the U.S., according to government documents and interviews. They have the documents, they have the interviews. Federal agents used a confidential United States witness working inside the Russian nuclear industry to gather the extensive financial records, meaning they had a mole, essentially, that they had working for them, who was sort of coordinating from within, on the inside, essentially a mole. Making secret recordings and intercepting emails as early as 2009. It showed that Moscow had compromised an American uranium trucking firm with bribes and kickbacks in violation of the Foreign Corruption Practices Act. The FBI and court documents now reveal all of this. And you can see them if you look at the Hill article. They've posted those all the legal documents there for you to view. They also obtained an eyewitness account backed by documents indicating a Russian nuclear officials had routed millions of dollars to the U.S. designed to benefit Slick Willie and the rotten Reverend Clinton and their phony charitable foundation known as the Clinton Foundation. This all happened during the rotten Reverend's tenure as Secretary of State. Also, the rotten Reverend served on the government body along with former Attorney General Eric Holder that provided a favorable decision to Moscow. Implicated in this, just the top layer that's being implicated right now, is former director of the FBI, who was the FBI director at the time that this began back in 2009, Bob Mueller, Uncle Bob. Also, the dishonorable James Comey, who, during the middle of this investigation, they had a change in FBI directors. When it started in 2009, it was Mueller. And then after he left, Comey came in, his protege. Also, the Assistant Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, who of course is Rod Rosenstein, who appointed Mr. Mueller to conduct his Trump witch hunt, the Trump-Russia collusion witch hunt. We also have the Assistant FBI Director, Andrew McCabe, who's currently under 3 other investigations. Of course, the Clintons, Eric Holder, and many more. Many more. Many people caught up in this web. This is a major, major story, my friends. This is a major, major crime and cover-up. This, it is so vast it will take a very long time to even sort this out. And what's extraordinary about this is we're not talking about a breaking news story. We're talking about an investigation that's run its entire course. They had all this information. What this is a massive crime that was covered up. Just like the way that Comey didn't do a real investigation of Hillary's illegal server and her violations of the Espionage Act with her illegal transfer of classified materials. And all the other things, the illegal surveillance, and all the obstruction of justice by the Justice Department, you name it, all these things that we've been talking about now for months and months on TowerGate are just the tip of the iceberg of the total amount of crimes and corruption that has been going on and was rampant, clearly, under the Obama administration, but it goes back much farther than that. Much farther than that. A lot of people could be drugged into this thing here. The very first thing that should happen right now, as of tomorrow, Mueller should resign immediately. Mr. Rosenstein should resign immediately. Mr. McCabe should resign immediately. And shortly thereafter, they should all be in handcuffs. This is even gets very, very close to treason. Not to mention just the crimes we're talking about. Money laundering, kickbacks, extortion. And these individuals, they have all the evidence. They have the documents, they have the recorded phone calls, they have the first-hand information from the mole who was planted. They already have the admission of guilt from the trucking company executives who all copped plea deals, very generous plea deals. And of course, I don't know what they were able to do with the Russian officials, but it appears that they were able to smooth that over as well. I wonder what they got for that. There's much, much more to be learned from this story. This is incredible. This is huge. Absolutely incredible story. And I imagine that everyone is probably wondering now what's going to happen. Obviously, this falls right to, of course, you can bet that the Congress will be calling for hearings and all this kind of stuff. So we get, they'll make every opportunity to do some political grandstanding for political gain, despite the fact that they have no prosecutorial authority. They can't do anything. Put on a political show, political theater. That's all they can do in the Congress. What really we'll be waiting for is the Attorney General, the eager beaver, the overachiever, Jeff Sessions. Everyone will be looking to Jeff Sessions. He's been completely inept at this point at prosecuting any of the crimes. We already know that the Comey investigation of the Hillary Clinton's emails was a complete sham. There was no investigation. It was a cover-up of a crime, not an investigation of a crime. This is public knowledge. Everyone knows it. What have you heard from the Attorney General, the eager beaver, the overachiever? Nothing. We've heard nothing. What do you think we'll hear from Sessions? Let me take a shot at it. Let's see how I do. Let me see. Let me reach my Jeff Sessions spectacles. Here we go. There we go. Here's what I expect from Jeff Sessions. Hi, it's Jeff Sessions, your Attorney General. And I know a lot of you probably wondering about this new story that's just breaking all over the news about this uranium Russian deal and the collusion and corruption and kickbacks and all these types of things that are quite troubling. And as you know, as your Attorney General, I'm watching lots of crime. I'm observing lots of crime. There's lots of investigation into lots of crime, and you're probably wondering what I'm going to do. And the truth is, as most of you know, I've been just busy as a beaver in the past quite a few months since I've been your Attorney General. I've been really cracking down on these medicinal marijuana operations in the states where they've passed these ballot measures to have this medicinal marijuana. And I've been just busy as I can be cracking down on that, the real serious crimes. And I've also been really working hard to increase these federal forfeiture laws to make it easier for law enforcement to come and take all your property just being accused of a crime without even being convicted. We'll go ahead and take all your property and your money and your assets anyway. Because you probably are guilty. But of course, you're not part of the inside the Beltway establishment. Now, if you were, of course, now we don't prosecute any. Of course, as you know, as you probably saw on Fox News, from Jason, former congressman, head of the Oversight Committee of Jason Chaffetz. As I told him, no, I won't be going back and reinvestigating the Clinton Foundation, Clinton email crimes, and the crimes of obstruction of justice, and the tarmac meeting, and the obstruction that happened in the aftermath, and all those sorts of things. No, I'm not going to be investigating any of that kind of stuff, and I'll be looking at this crime that is being reported now of this uranium deal that may have had something to do with the Clinton Foundation. But like I said, I'm just busy, really busy, watching crime, investigating crime, observing crime, and I do believe that I don't know. Certainly will try to find the time to look at this and take it very seriously, and see what we might be able to do. But right now, it's just I'm so busy cracking down on that medicinal marijuana and those federal forfeitures and things and such. It takes pretty much all my time. But I do appreciate your support and confidence in me as your Attorney General, and I'll keep watching a lot of crime. I'll keep observing a lot of crime, and we're really going to crack down on this crime. So thank you for that's exactly what we're going to get. That's exactly what I expect we're going to get from Attorney General, the eager beaver, the overachiever, Jeff Sessions. Nada. That's what we're going to get from the eager beaver. Thank you very much. We'll keep following the story. Like I said, if you want to read the whole thing, go over to thehill.com. You'll find it right there. You can look at the documents. You can read it. This story will continue to unfold. And I think Sean Hannity, I heard he did a pretty good monologue tonight. You might want to look at the video clip of that as well. And this story will continue. It's got a lot of legs. Whether or not anything will happen, these are the swamp creatures. They never get held accountable for anything, do they? Do they? Las Vegas, the Patsy, Stephen Paddock. We're now learning from multiple internet sources. Now, there was one specific internet source I think everyone is getting this story from, and I wish I could remember his name because I would like to give him credit, but he's a pretty popular YouTube channel, and he's been in Vegas since I think the day after this happened. He's been there interviewing people, talking to people. I've watched quite a few of his videos. I just wish, I don't want to misstate the name of his website. I'll get it and I'll give it to you tomorrow because I should have written it down, but I do watch quite a bit of his stuff, and I think there's some legitimacy to this report. And what I'm speaking about is that he is reporting that on September the 19th, Stephen Paddock flew to Phoenix, Arizona. The flight time from Las Vegas to Phoenix, it's about a 1-hour flight, about an hour and 2 minutes. Paddock then, once arriving in Arizona, rented a rental car at the airport in Phoenix. He left there at 3:19, and then he dropped off the car about 10 hours later at 12:52 a.m. in Las Vegas. So he flew to Phoenix. He was there for probably about 5.5 hours doing something, and then he drove the car back to Las Vegas, the rental. It's a 4.5-hour drive, so that means if he was gone for 10 hours, the total time from the time he left, boarded the aircraft, to the time he turned the car in at the rental place in Las Vegas, it was a total elapsed time of 10 hours with 4.5 hours drive time, which means he would have spent 5.5 hours in Phoenix. What did the Patsy Stephen Paddock do in Phoenix, do you think? Well, we know that he logged 92 miles on the car. 92 miles. Do you think that the Patsy Stephen Paddock might have been picking up some guns? Do you think that Paddock may have been working for the ATF on a gun running sting? Why didn't Stephen Paddock fly back? Do you think it could be because he was transporting something back in the rental car that he wasn't going to be able to get on an aircraft? Maybe it's that weapon that the Las Vegas police chief is looking for. Deputy Dog. He talks about this weapon that they have an interest in, and they can't find it. It's not in any of his homes. It wasn't in his hotel. It wasn't one of the alleged guns used. But it's a gun that they're very interested in. Maybe it's an automatic weapon. Maybe it's the one they suspected the shooting. Maybe it's the one he picked up in Phoenix. Maybe. What you have to remember, and why Phoenix is so important, is because Phoenix was the home base of the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the ATF. It was the home base for their sting operations that they were running, of which they were running dozens of these types of operations in 10 cities in 5 states. Phoenix was the home base for the ATF operations. That includes Fast and Furious, and we all know what happened there, Operation Wide Receiver, and many more. What these operations are is to get popular weapons, usually semi-autos, but I imagine they probably deal in the illegal stuff as well, probably even deal in military weapons, probably even deal in explosives. We don't know the full range because it's all a secret until it blows up in their face like Fast and Furious. We were never allowed to get to the bottom of that, were we? Another crime that went unsolved, just like all the other crimes of the deep state. There was no accountability in the swamp. Because in the swamp, everyone's a criminal. Everyone's attached to a criminal. So you can't take any criminals down. It's a classic mob technique. If you're going to commit a crime and there's someone who you think might be able to get onto the crime, you bring them into the crime with you. That way they can't testify against you because now they're part of it. In the swamp, everyone's part of the criminal syndicate. So if any one member goes down in the criminal syndicate, they all go down. That's why no one ever gets prosecuted in the swamp, including for Fast and Furious, which we know about Operation Wide Receiver. Now, one of the favorite weapons of choice in these drug stings are the AR-15s. And essentially what they do in these operations is they run sting operations. They use straw man gun buyers to act as middlemen, to get weapons to these cartels, gangs, and probably even foreign terrorists for all we know, and set them up for sting operations. That way when they commit a crime, they can look at the ballistics of the weapon or whatever, or the bullet or whatever, and they can pin it to a weapon because they're the ones that provided the weapon. They own it. It's theirs. That's exactly right. And of course this blew up in the face in Fast and Furious when a couple of policemen were killed in this particular operation. It looks to me like Mr. Paddock was a patsy. Stephen Paddock looks to me like a patsy who was involved in something illegal. That's where he was making all that money, because he wasn't making it in real estate. He had 4 properties, but he occupied 2 of them, and apparently the other 2 were just sitting there. Didn't even appear he was even renting them. So how is he making cash flow with properties that he wasn't renting? He wasn't flipping properties. He would buy these houses and just own them. He certainly wasn't making money playing video poker. He was probably losing money. He was laundering lots of money through video poker, though. Guarantee you that. So where was he making all this money? Well, I'll tell you, being involved, being a middleman, a straw man in these types of operations is very, very lucrative. Very lucrative. But you got to be able to convert that money into clean money. That's why you go to Vegas and you play a game that you can get a pretty good return on your money. It's better than laundering it through the mob when you only get 50 cents on the dollar. Mr. Paddock had to play a hell of a lot of poker, but he was probably getting 85, maybe 90 cents on his dollar in real money. He probably didn't even like poker. He probably hated it. He's got to sit there and play that shit for 12 hours a day to launder all that money that he was making. He's got a couple of airplanes. I'm sure he moved a lot of weapons in those airplanes as well. Welcome to the New World Order. No one gets prosecuted in the swamp. You can bet they'll try to make this all go away. Just like they're trying to make the Las Vegas shooting go away. Just like they tried to make 9/11 go away. Just like they tried to make Oklahoma City go away. Just like they tried to make the Kennedy assassination go away. Just like they tried to make the assault on Randy Weaver go away. Just like they tried to make the burning down of the Branch Davidian compound go away. Remember that? Oh, I remember it quite well. That's right. Next. Well, it looks like our good buddy Hillary, I should say the Rotten Reverend Clinton, looks like her good buddy Mr. Weinstein's brother, Bob, is now being accused of sexual harassment as well. Must run in the family. Of course, we have Hanoi Jane Fonda admitting now that she knew about Weinstein's abuse for years. But she didn't say anything because he never attacked her. Yeah, probably because he didn't want to get the clap. GPS Fusion is now refusing to comply with the House Intelligence subpoena that we talked about last week. I told you Devin Nunes sent a subpoena over to GPS Fusion, and they're now refusing, via their lawyer, to comply with the House Intel subpoena. So what happens next? Well, what's next is they'll probably file them in contempt. What happens after that? Nothing, because GPS Fusion is protected by the deep state. They're in good hands. Well, Roger Goodell, it looks like they've reached some sort of a conclusion. The NFL commissioner has made a decision that the NFL will now finance a social justice warrior boot camp for NFL players in an effort to encourage them to stop kneeling for the national anthem. It's a weak response. It's not going to cut the mustard. The NFL is being destroyed. Every Monday and Thursday, their ratings have been down, and they're going down even more. The most recent Monday night game had the lowest rating of any Monday night game of the season. Their last Thursday night game, and these were good matchups, very low ratings. The ratings are down. The advertisers are getting nervous. I'm telling you, friends, it's just a matter of time. Matter of time. But it's a very sad situation if you're an NFL fan. A once great game, a once great league. literally being destroyed right in front of our very eyes. It will never, ever be the same. It will never, ever recover. I expect they'll go through most of the season trying to deal with this issue. The NFL is terrified of the lawsuits that they might be get into with the players' union. The owners have to be perplexed. They don't know what to do. They also don't want to be getting in lawsuits from players, the players' union, the NFL. It's a massive, massive shit storm, and you don't want to be in it. You're talking about billionaires and millionaires having a shit storm, and they can throw a lot of shit. They certainly can. Ultimately, when this season comes to an end and they sit back and look at the receipts and realize the massive revenues that they've lost, the advertisers, the owners, and all the rest, I imagine what you'll see on the owners' behalf, especially those owners who are not happy with what they're seeing, the NFL is unique, unlike the NBA or Major League Baseball or many other contracts that people sign where, you sign a contract like if you're a TV reporter and you sign a 5-year deal, but they fire you a year later, if you didn't really do anything wrong that breached the contract, they have to pay you the balance of your contract. Baseball works that way. I don't know about hockey, but basketball works that way. Not the NFL. In the NFL, you can sign a $20 million contract today, they can cut you tomorrow, and they ain't got to pay you any of that contract. That's why NFL players get so much bonus money up front, because they know they could get cut tomorrow. And once they cut you, they don't have to pay you. I'd expect next year you could see a lot of marquee players, those who are kneelers, marquee players getting cut. It'd be interesting to see which owners will be interested in picking up their tab, putting them on their team. I'm telling you, this is going to continue to be bad, progressively worse, and I think you are seeing some of the advertisers, but the bigs, Ford Motor Company, Ford and Anheuser-Busch, the two biggies, Nike isn't going anywhere. They make so much illegal money all around the world that this is a pocket change to them. They'll stick around for all the embarrassment as well, and they support it, by the way, 100% support the players kneeling. But these owners, a lot of these owners are conservative, and they got to be sick, and they're going to be losing lots of money, and there'll be players losing money in terms of contracts and bonuses next year. The fallout from this is long from over. It will continue to be a fallout, and then I imagine in the off season, by the time this comes around the next year, they will finally be forced to implement a policy, no more protests during the anthem. One thing they're trying to do is simply not to broadcast the beginning of the game where the national anthem is being played and that type of thing. They've been trying that on a couple of the news and sports networks, simply not showing people the national anthem so they don't see it. But everyone knows it's happening. The fans in the stadium know it's happening, and the fallout continues. The fallout will continue, and it will destroy this league if they don't get a handle on it. In fact, they'll never be able to restore the NFL to what it was. It's taken too big of a hit already, and it will continue. Here's a funny story. The D-list former Hollywood celeb Alyssa Milano was tweeting out this thing on Twitter about, maybe we need a meme that we can all put out there to let everyone know that we were one of those people who did suffer sexual assault by Harvey Weinstein or other producers, Hollywood film producers, music producers like him. And how about we use Me Too? So as you look at her Twitter feed, down her Twitter feed, you see where Monica Lewinsky, you remember her? She gave Bill Clinton the fellatio in the Oval Office, and of course received her benefit on her blue dress, which became evidence in the court trial. And of course Monica Lewinsky retweeted Me Too. Very nice, Monica Lewinsky. Well, Samantha Powers, of course, did testify. We only know a little bit about what she said because it's behind closed doors. We don't get to hear any of it. That's right, they allow these criminals behind closed-door testimony, but we are getting one little bit of information, and that comes from Trey Gowdy, who basically is stating that she's making the claim that all those 260 some odd instances of unmasking that are being attributed to her, she says were not all done by her. So now she's suggesting someone else may have been requesting those unmasking, and that would have to be Ben Rhodes. He's next up on the hot seat. Whether or not any of these people will ever be held accountable for their crimes, never. She's got total cover. She's good to go. Finally, on a sad note, Las Vegas police are now saying there'll be no more news conferences. They're also saying that Jesus, the hero, Jesus the hero, is not missing. Really? He's not? Nobody can find him. That sounds like missing to me. And they're now referring to him as the victim, not the hero. It kind of sucks when the hero can't even go out and do TV interviews. They usually, on these types of operations, rely on the hero. They always have a villain. As soon as the thing takes place, in fact, while it's happening, they're already telling you who the villain is, who the hero is. They got the narrative. They usually got a popular thing that patriotic slogan people can get behind, like "Let's roll" or something like that. They really botched this one. They really didn't play this one very well. Maybe they should have contacted Harvey Weinstein to let him handle the theatrical production for this event. And one reason why a lot of people are suggesting that Jesus the hero, now Jesus the zero the hero, Jesus, Campos, whatever it is, the reason why he may not be available for media interviews are suggesting he may be an illegal alien. Remember, he wasn't registered with the private investigators security place in Nevada that is mandatory that you must register with them to work as a security officer in Las Vegas. He was not registered with them. Maybe that's why. He's illegal. The illegal hero. Zero the hero. Jesus. Jesus the illegal. Zero the hero. Non-hero. Now the victim. Nowhere to be found. But he's not missing. He's not being silenced. He's not being gagged. He just ain't interested. Thank you so much for tuning in. TowerGate, what the hell day is it? 2/25, Wednesday. I'll be back tomorrow. And I want to say hello to all my new subscribers. Thank you. Good night.